Donald Trump once again found himself at the center of a media and legal storm as a fresh twist unfolded in one of the many courtroom sagas surrounding the former president. What began as a show of strength by prosecutors seeking to hold Trump accountable for alleged misconduct has now taken an unexpected turn, leaving observers stunned and Trump supporters claiming a major moral victory. According to multiple reports and sources close to the legal proceedings, the lead prosecutor handling a high-profile case involving Trump is reportedly growing increasingly apprehensive about the next steps in court, fearing not only the legal complexities but also the potential backlash that could follow from what is shaping up to be one of the most politically charged trials in modern American history. This latest development has ignited a wave of commentary across media outlets and social media platforms, with Trump allies celebrating the apparent setback for the prosecution. They argue it is further evidence that the legal pursuit of the former president has been politically motivated from the beginning. On the other hand, critics of Trump insist that the situation reflects the immense pressure that comes with trying a figure who continues to wield significant influence over millions of Americans and remains a central force in the Republican Party heading into the 2024 election cycle. The atmosphere surrounding the courtroom has been described as tense and unpredictable, with every move by either side being closely analyzed for political and legal implications. The prosecutor in question, who once exuded confidence about the strength of the case, is now said to be wrestling with internal concerns about presenting the evidence and maintaining credibility under the public microscope. Court insiders suggest that behind closed doors, there have been heated discussions about how to proceed, particularly as Trump's defense team continues to mount an aggressive counter-offensive aimed at discrediting the prosecution's motives and questioning the legitimacy of the charges. Those familiar with the situation describe a growing sense of unease among prosecutors, who are realizing that going head-to-head with Trump in a courtroom is not just a matter of law but a battle in the court of public opinion as well. The stakes could not be higher. Trump's legal team has seized on the latest reports, portraying them as proof that the so-called witch hunt against the former president is beginning to crumble under its own weight. Trump himself wasted no time responding to the reports, taking to his social media platform to declare that justice was finally prevailing. In his post, Trump described the situation as instant karma for those who have spent years trying to destroy him through what he calls fabricated cases and partisan investigations. His supporters quickly amplified his message online, flooding social media with memes, hashtags, and celebratory messages claiming that the tables are turned. For months, Trump's opponents have hoped that one of his legal battles would finally deliver the accountability they believe he deserves. Instead, each attempt to pin down the former president has seemed to energize his base and fuel his narrative that he is a victim of systemic bias. This latest twist appears to follow the same pattern. Legal analysts note that while the prosecutor's apprehension does not necessarily mean the case will collapse, it signals a serious morale issue within the prosecution's ranks. Trials of such magnitude require not only strong evidence but also confidence, consistency, and public trust, qualities that seem increasingly difficult to maintain in a climate as polarized as today's America. Observers point out that this dynamic plays directly into Trump's strategy. Since leaving office, he has turned his legal troubles into political capital, painting himself as a warrior against a corrupt establishment. Every time a case falters or a prosecutor shows signs of hesitation, it reinforces his claim that he is being unfairly targeted. Political strategists say that Trump's ability to weaponize these moments is unmatched in modern politics. He thrives on controversy, and every stumble by his opponents becomes another talking point for his rallies, fundraising efforts, and online presence. Meanwhile, inside the courtroom, the tension is palpable. Sources who have attended recent hearings describe a scene filled with sharp exchanges between attorneys, hushed conversations among reporters, and an air of uncertainty about what will happen next. The prosecution, once confident in its evidence and strategy, now appears to be reevaluating its approach. Rumors are circulating that some members of the team are frustrated with the way the case has been handled, citing poor coordination and a lack of clear direction. Others are reportedly worried about how their professional reputations might suffer if the case falls apart under intense public scrutiny. Trump's defense attorneys, for their part, are capitalizing on every sign of weakness. They've filed multiple motions aimed at delaying proceedings, suppressing evidence, and challenging the validity of key testimonies. Each legal maneuver is accompanied by a public relations push designed to portray Trump as a victim of overzealous prosecutors. The defense team has also been careful to highlight inconsistencies in the prosecution's public statements, arguing that the shifting narrative is evidence of desperation. It is a high-stakes chess match, with both sides acutely aware that the outcome will reverberate far beyond the courtroom. Political analysts are watching closely, noting that this case could have significant implications for the upcoming election. If Trump emerges victorious, either through acquittal or dismissal of charges, it would provide a massive boost to his campaign and further solidify his image as an indestructible political force. On the other hand, if prosecutors somehow manage to regain control and secure a conviction, it could reshape the political landscape entirely. Yet for now, the pendulum seems to have swung in Trump's favor, at least in the court of public perception. The fear reportedly gripping the prosecutor underscores the challenges of pursuing justice in a case involving such a polarizing figure. Experts say that any misstep, no matter how small, will be magnified by Trump's team and media supporters, creating an environment where even the most routine legal process becomes a political spectacle. This atmosphere makes it increasingly difficult for prosecutors to maintain focus on the facts without being drawn into the broader political drama. Some have even suggested that the case should have been handled differently from the start, with more discretion and less media fanfare, to avoid the perception that it was politically motivated. What remains clear is that Trump's ability to influence narratives remains as strong as ever. His mastery of public messaging and instincts for turning controversy into advantage have kept him politically relevant even as he faces multiple criminal and civil cases. Each new development, instead of weakening him, seems to galvanize his supporters and deepen their loyalty. The idea of instant karma has become a rallying cry among his base, who see every stumble by his opponents as divine justice or poetic retribution for years of political persecution. The prosecutor's reported fear at court could have tangible consequences. Legal experts note that any sign of hesitation can weaken a case, embolden defense lawyers, and sway public opinion. Jurors, too, are not immune to the broader social context. They are aware of the media circus surrounding Trump, and that awareness can subtly influence their perceptions. Prosecutors must therefore walk a fine line, assertive enough to show confidence, but cautious enough to avoid appearing vindictive or politically driven. For now, it seems that balance is proving difficult to maintain. Inside Trump's inner circle, the mood is celebratory. Advisors reportedly see this as validation of their belief that the American public is growing tired of what they view as endless legal harassment. Fundraising messages have already been crafted around the narrative of instant karma, portraying Trump as a man who stood firm while his enemies faltered. Strategists close to the campaign say that each legal victory, real or perceived, translates into higher enthusiasm among voters and donors alike. They argue that the constant barrage of investigations has desensitized the public, making it harder for any single case to truly damage Trump's reputation. Still, not everyone in Trump's orbit is complacent. Some insiders caution that the former president's legal troubles are far from over and that any celebration may be premature. The legal system is unpredictable, and while one prosecutor may falter, others remain determined. Yet even these cautious voices acknowledge that Trump has once again managed to turn adversity into opportunity. His resilience, they say, is not just political but psychological, an unwavering belief in his ability to outlast his opponents. As the story unfolds, the political reverberations continue to grow. Commentators across the ideological spectrum are debating what this means for the broader state of American justice. For Trump supporters, it is proof that the establishment's efforts to destroy him are collapsing. For his detractors, it is a troubling sign that fear and intimidation may be undermining the pursuit of accountability. Both sides, however, agree on one point: the spectacle surrounding Trump's legal battles is unlike anything the country has seen before. The coming weeks will be crucial. The prosecutor's next moves will determine not only the fate of the case, but also the credibility of the justice system itself. Will the fear subside, or will it lead to hesitation and missteps that could benefit Trump? Court observers expect intense scrutiny on every motion, every statement, every procedural decision. Meanwhile, Trump's camp is preparing to amplify any sign of weakness, using it to fuel the narrative that he is the ultimate survivor of political warfare. In the end, whether one sees this as instant karma or simply the latest chapter in a long and contentious saga, the fact remains that Trump continues to dominate the national conversation. His presence looms over every courtroom, every campaign event, every media cycle. The prosecutor's fear, real or perceived only, adds to the mystique of a man who has defied expectations time and again. For his supporters, it is vindication. For his critics, it is frustration. But for America, it is another reminder that the intersection of politics, power, and justice has never been more fraught or more fascinating. As the dust settles from this latest twist, one thing is certain: The battle between Trump and his legal adversaries is far from over. Each side is regrouping, recalibrating, and preparing for the next confrontation. Yet no matter what happens in the courtroom, the perception that Trump has once again turned the tables on his opponents will linger, shaping not only his political fortunes but the very narrative of American politics in the years to come.